Welcome to This Could Be Something. I'm Dr. Gerald, a certified executive coach, and this is a space for conversations about the in betweens of life, work, healing, and becoming. It's for anyone who carries more than one dream and wonders, what if I didn't have to choose? Carl is a dear friend from medical school. Over the years, I've watched him walk the honest road of becoming. Today's conversation is for anyone who's ever felt like they were meant to live more than one life. We talk about moving from debate rooms to medical school and to the stage, and what it means to live a life that doesn't always make sense to others, but feels right for you. This episode is for anyone who's ever asked, what if I took a different path? And dared to answer it. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the
Hi.
podcast. Yes.
Hello, I'm very happy to be here.
Yes. So, first things first, I'd like you
Mhm.
to introduce yourself to the listeners, but with a catch.
Okay,
Introduce
cool.
yourself without
Hi.
mentioning what you're actually doing.
Do you want me to allude to it or just
You
introduce
can.
yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Carlito. Hello, listeners and viewers. I'm Carlito Reyes II. So I always tell people to just call me Carl. Because as I said, there's a the second. So if you call me Carlito, you're calling my dad. I like being called Carl. Rochel is my middle name. So a shout out to my mom. I'm the seventh of seven kids. I'm the seventh of seven kids. And currently I'm living in the UK and kind of like living a dual life, but having a very fulfilling time. Not every day, but yeah. I think we'll leave it there for now.
So, I'm curious about, let's start with the young Carl. Because you
Okay.
mentioned a lot about your childhood. What
Okay.
kind of kid were you growing up? Let's start with that.
I was very rambunctious. I'm a little bit makulit. Running around all the time. As I said, I was seven of seven kids, so I was already kind of more in a tight noose from my parents. Kasi they already kind of like experimented with their first few kids, so
With the
I
other
guess
six.
so when it reached to me, it was quite regimented. So like growing up, I kind of had a schedule. In the morning, I know to go to school, obviously, and then I have to go to tutor, and then I have to go to swimming, and then on Saturdays, I have to go to karate. It was almost like there was a schedule, and my parents weren't very keen with making friends. I don't want people to take that the wrong way. They were just quite protective, I think, in terms of their kids. Bahay uwi. School bahay. Do what you need to do with other things. It was different from like age 3. I can still remember clearly from age 3 until I went to college. I really had like multiple things that I was doing. I felt like there was also quite a lot of pressure that I put on myself, but also externally and internally, but maybe more internally nga eh. Kasi I was seven of seven kids and I was seeing everyone like doing stuff being described as this is good and this is bad. So parang growing up, maybe I was also putting the pressure on myself. Yeah, I was a very competitive kid.
But I remember, we're alluding to what you're doing now. I remember you said as a kid, you did professional singing. You did record before.
No, so like when I was a kid, I helped like just recording stuff for my dad because our family owns a business. So like I helped out in like so I was in a professional recording studio and all of that. So I wanted to like do it for a living when I experienced it. So I experienced it for my family and like they showed me like the recording booth. I recorded some stuff. And I remembered it quite vividly. And so that was my experience as a kid. Pero I really wanted to do it professionally. Pero I didn't because my parents were really making me concentrate on professionally stable stuff. Pero alluding to that, so nung bata ako, like in Angelico, I don't know if people still know this. Alam niyo yung mga shows in TV5 before ABC pa. There was 5 and Up. Tapos they were getting kids. I remembered being interviewed. It's like there were just junctions in my life that were opportunities that I felt like I might enjoy this or I like this like kind of life, pero it never pushed through. Like, it just never really panned out. Nothing really became out of it na professionally. May mga patikim-tikim ako lagi growing up.
And then fast forward to college, you were pre-law.
I was.
You did
So I
pol
was
sci.
a debater throughout high school. And I was also a swimmer, but then concentrated on debate kasi I was very competitive and I realized I'm never gonna be as tall as Michael Phelps. I'm never going to win anything in swimming. But I was like, maybe in debate I can. So I debated in high school. Then growing up, I was just like lawyer or medicine. And even I think engineering was something that my parents would be okay with. Everyone was very supportive, so I went to LaSalle. Green, let's go LaSalle. So I went to DLSU for political science and legal management. So I did a Leocom degree there. I was very competitive, so I was like, this is what I'm gonna do if I wanna go to law school. I'll take the 2 degrees.
Yeah, and you're very competitive that you reached the World Debate Championships, diba?
Yeah, so I competed for it. I competed lang. I didn't get so far. But I competed for LaSalle at Worlds. And then I guess for me, if the question is like how far I've gone in debating, the proudest, I guess, I was in the top 10 best speaker of Asia in one of the tournaments that I went to in Macau. Even when I was in university, I was doing double degree, diba? So political science, legal management. But I was also debating, but I was also writing for the school paper. So I was also part of the LaSallian.
Yeah, and then the way I know you, if you do something, you really do it well.
Well, I
Like,
hope so, yes.
yeah, parang you don't hesitate. Hindi, gawin natin to. Let's like bring it to where I can bring it. Ganun ka when you approach things. So from law, pre-law actually, and you were good at it because I remember we had an assignment in health econ. Doon ko first naalaman ng actuarial science. Because of you, like, there is actuarial science. So you were really good at it, right? You were really good at what you did. In fact, you were supposed to go
I
to
hope
NY.
so.
You are! Yung, parang
Yeah.
sabi ko kay Janelle noon, Janelle, paano pag hindi natin naging partner si Carl? I don't think we will pass this subject. Kasi it's a different world.
So when I finished university, I was like, I want to go to law school. Although, like the reality is, there was always a voice in my ear na it wasn't clicking. But as I said, I was so competitive, diba? So parang I was like, andito na ako. I remembered, I just wanna include this, because I was so competitive, I really wanted to do it, but also because when I was first year in university, a chemistry professor spoke to me in one of our chemistry classes. And I was number 1 in the exams. And she was like, do you think you're in the right degree? is essentially what she asked. And even then, I was already like exploring, parang, why is this like political science, legal management thing not clicking completely? I had good grades, but like it wasn't clicking. Like it wasn't like, wow, that I thought it was gonna be. Kasi I associated it with debating, winning, competition, which is not what it was. I took the LSATs, as in parang L Woods, Legally Blonde. Like, LSAT ako, kasi nga, I wanted to go to law school. Kasi, ang pangarap ko nun, criminal law. Kasi nga, gusto ko talaga parang, competition, mananalo, matatalo, may makukulong, yun yung, like, someone's gonna go to jail, like, or someone's not gonna go to jail because of me. That was the mentality. But my dad was like, no, if you're in the Philippines, mapapapatay ka. Like, something might happen. So my dad was like, if you're gonna go to criminal law, you have to study abroad. You have to practice it in a place that might be safer for you. So, ako was like, yeah, of course. So I applied to schools in the US, and ayun, I had acceptances. As you said, during those moments and periods, iniisip ko talaga, like, there's a nagging feeling and there's a nagging, gnawing, like, voice that was like, you should, now, this is enough, like, political science, legal management, you finishing it, okay na yun. Yung punchline nun was, nung first year ko, my dad said, isinimulan ka, tapusin mo. when you start something, finish it. Which I wanna talk later, like, please go back to that. Because in my head, there's some truths to that, but I also believe that there are some bad things about that thought process. There's something problematic about that, in my opinion, which I think kinda like held me back a bit sometimes. Because I sometimes ask, would it have been better or easier for me if I just shifted? If I just like shifted nung first year pa lang ako when that chemistry professor asked, and I was already like, oh nga no, like that makes sense. The thought of moving abroad plus all this like medicine talk, and then my sister at that time was graduating medicine, and then like she was always talking about it, and I was so excited by medicine and the science of it. I was so enamored by science even as a high school student. And so that fear kind of like, oh, made me think twice, because also I didn't get a scholarship, so like $48,000 US, tatlong taon. So sabi ko parang, oh my god. Parang mapapanindigan ko ba? As you said, when I do something, I wanna do it well. And even then I already was like, this might not be. And I got scared. And that's when I explored other options. I spoke to somebody in the biology department of LaSalle before I graduated. And that's why, like a month before, that was the last time Masters in Biology was intaking their students, I took an exam. Kasi I knew if I was gonna do it, I will not have support from my parents at that time. Because my parents are like that. Yung, pag may sinimulan ka, tapusin mo. And you're going to law school, finish it. We're happy to support. My parents are very supportive when they're ready and aware. And like, paghanda sila. And so, nagulat sila at that time. So, my dad was like, no. Like, we're willing to help you for law school. Like, hindi ako ready dito. So, I found a way to get into the program, got a scholarship. So, I didn't buy it parents ko. So, wala sila nagawa. Kasi scholar ako eh. So, like, I took all of that and then eventually got into med school. And then that's how the start of our friendship and how we met.
Yes. And how was that like? Kasi ito yung interesting sa'yo. From LaSalle, Ateneo Med School.
Yeah, because that was my choice because of the MBA. And also, I was very smart about my admissibility. So many pre-meds will go there. But has there been a pre-MBA student? I was a political science legal management graduate. So I thought, as long as I pass my NMAT and as long as I get everything, I can get to this school. In my head, I just want to go to a med school. I just want to be a doctor at that point. And so I was going to go anywhere. I was hearing stuff about it's so hard to get into med school, especially if you don't have this background. So I was also very strategic. And at that point, parang wala pa masyadong graduates from Ateneo. Like we were like 2012 tayo pumasok. Like that was the first time mag-e-exam. Like the first time that there was someone gonna take the exam. So I was like, maybe, baka makalusot ako. Like, maybe I could get in. Because I was confident in my law life. I was sure I was gonna get into a law school. But will I get to a med school? That was like a question in my head. So eventually, I made that decision that would be like my ticket. And I was kind of right. And then, yeah, I got in. That was one of the main reasons. But also kasi my dad naman was Atenean. So parang I was like, baka magiging okay naman. Like, he'll be okay. He'll be happy about this.
And I think naman kasi it helped with Ateneo because you pursue your passions. Ganon
Yes.
tayo, diba? Parang we're always encouraged.
And I think they were also interested. And just to give props also to Ateneo, no? Like, I wasn't the only one who was non-medical background who got in. We had classmates who was like management engineering. We had someone who was also political science. I think meron pa nga sociology, di ba? Parang ganyan. So,
We had chemical engineer pa.
Yeah, so like we had a lot.
In the
So, I was impressed by that, but at the same time, that was the basket I was hoping my eggs will go into. And I was correct.
Yeah, parang sinasabi nila, the diversity will help us become better doctors.
Yes.
Kasi everyone has a different viewpoint.
Correct.
And then, so you trained as a doctor, we graduated,
Yes.
and props to you Kasi like you really finished everything na walang removals, no?
I
Like
had removals.
you had
I
removals.
passed. I had removals. At that time, the first year tayo, I had removals. So, in while 5, I had removals.
I
I
did
had
not know that.
5. Really? Okay, I had 5.
Which
But
ones?
then, head and neck,
Head and neck. Oh, yeah.
musculoskeletal, endo, I forgot the others. Oh, hematology. Yung umulan. Remember it like rained? Like 1 week tayo, we didn't have school. Tapos, exam agad. During first year, I didn't know how to study like a med student. That's really the story. After that, wala na ako removals. But while 5 was difficult for me. In pre-law, in political science legal management, you write essays to prove a point. You get asked like, compare these two political ideologies and why would this apply to the current war in blank. Med school, it's either you give me the right answer of what interleukin does this, what causes fever, IL-1, IL-2, IL-3, IL-4, IL-5. Isa lang yung sagot doon. So, it didn't compute agad. I didn't know how to study for it at once. I had to learn my process. And I also couldn't copy my sister because my sister's not me. I also couldn't copy other people. I didn't know how to study the way Carl needs to study for medicine. I had to discover that. And then eventually I did. But to anyone listening, like, never compare yourself to others, that this is how they did it and this is how. There's only one way to be a doctor. There's only one way to be a lawyer. There's not. There's not one way to be something or anything. There are multiple ways. There are multiple maps to roam. Like, there are just multiple maps.
I
And find the
agree.
map that works for you.
I
I see.
agree, yeah. That's the most difficult thing in first year. I think that's the struggle talaga of all first year medical students.
Yeah.
Kasi the workload plus you learning how to study it, because studying medicine it's a different approach. It's not like college. It's really like naubos mo nang basahin yung libro pero pag nag-exam, di mo pa rin alam yung sagot.
Yes.
Kasi
Yes.
nakatago siya dun sa footnote.
Footnote. Di ba, there was a time like mahilig sila na, it is not the not. Or like, which is not like not, or like which among the following is this, and then like mahilig sila sa none of the above, except tas none of the above, the blah 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 blah, except, and then none of the above yung sagot. Eventually it became a joke to us, di ba? Parang joke na siya, parang, oh, none of the above na yan, or like ganito na yan, like automatic, wag ka na mag-isip. If you're starting out, it'll stress you out. Obviously, when we were like third years now, YL7, we're like just laughing it off kasi we're having exams every week, diba? I only had to do a midterm and a final and one quiz. You have exams every 2 weeks, or like no first year tayo, diba? Every 2 weeks or every 3 or every 1 was daunting.
Second year was more difficult because it was every week.
Monday,
And then
diba?
that's,
Like,
yeah, and that's how we became friends, you, me, and Janelle. Because we
Yes,
studied
yes.
together and we made it
Yes.
fun. We used to play Pinoy
Yes.
Henyo, you remember?
Yeah.
You remember?
Yes.
It was, yeah,
yes,
that's,
yes. It was at the Starbucks close to our place.
yeah, Pinoy Henyo tayo. Yun. And then Oske, we also studied together. So yeah,
Oske,
med school was
yeah.
really about finding friends and people that you really work well with.
Med school, especially I could only speak for myself. Med school was like a practice of the ability to be bombarded with stuff, regurgitate it out, and still for some reason keep some of them. Because you will need it in the future still. Because I wasn't studying it throughout university, college time. I was learning everything like paisa-isa, and it was a struggle initially. It got better, it got easier, but it was tough. Like I was glad that I found friends like you, Janelle, Chris, then like I had friends that would help me throughout, that are still my friends until now, because med school is ano talaga siya, not for everyone, but also everybody have different experiences in it. It was interesting. I will not say it was fun, but I will not do it again, but I will not do it. Like, I'm very glad I did it, regardless of what happens in my career, whatever I become completely. I don't regret being a med student. I don't regret being in med school. I don't regret going to Ateneo. Those will never be part of the regrets I will have if I have regrets in my life. It was one of the best choices I made.
really with Ateneo, you really feel supported. I think if without
Yeah.
Ateneo, I don't think I'll become a doctor, to be honest. Kasi we had coaches, we had mentors.
Yes. We had
So you,
mentors, we had coaches, with people to
yeah.
talk to. And we had the ability to also, and this was freeing for me, to be open about my vulnerabilities to people. And to people who are already doctors. And be able to say, like, I have this amount of removals, I'm scared. Like,
Yeah.
or is this even for me? And that was very helpful for me, that I had access to that. Very open-minded din kasi yung teachers natin, because I think they were willing to not just get the cookie-cutter students nga eh. Because they were willing to do that. We're aware of what that also entails, right? Because you don't have the cookie-cutter student, you can't do a cookie-cutter school. I would say, at least my experience, they were able to cater to me. Even if we were 100 plus students. I really appreciated what I had in that school. We had electives that we could create. We had like we had stuff that we could like, yeah, we it wasn't like this is what you need to do. Ito lang. And these are like the parameters. Obviously, there were things we had to do, right? Like, pero it wasn't like
Like, what are your passions? Do it. If you want sports, we have a sports club. If you
yeah.
want advocacy, we have an advocacy club. If like, sobrang daming pwedeng gawin within med school. Na you
I
don't
did
feel
eskwela.
trapped.
I did eskwela. I even roped you and Janelle in. Nagturo
Yeah.
tayo sa mga bata, diba? So like we had and that was one of my passions. Like, health education has always been something that was important to me. And alluding it, diba, I auditioned for Hi-Fi.
Oh yeah!
During-
Oh, yeah, you have to say. Oh my. Oh yes, yes. Wait. That's a very fun story because we were in medical school. That was third year.
Third year.
Third year, they were launching High Five Philippines.
High Five Philippines.
Yes,
And
go
as
tell
I was
the
telling
story.
you,
Yes.
okay, now na. So,
Yeah.
we were in third year med school. It was infectious diseases module. And I can clearly remember, I saw an ad for a High Fives coming to the Philippines. And at that time, I had a niece that was very young. She was around 2 years old. She was like a big High Five fan. I knew all the songs because of her everything. And as I told you, even as a kid, I was so performative. I like things that are performative. Kaya ako nga gusto maging lawyer nun. Kaya ako gusto mag-debate. Like, it wasn't the intellectual parts of it. It was the performative portions of those things that I really enjoyed. And I was also singing as a kid. Like, that was something I really enjoyed. And then I saw that ad and I was like, gosh, that would be so fun. And I'd do anything to get to that show. And I auditioned. We had an exam. I don't know if you remember this, but we had an exam on the day of the audition. And so, I studied for that exam so well, so that when I go in the exam, I'll look at the question and I'll just put an answer. Sip-isip. I was like, I was gonna take this test for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Read, answer, read, answer, read, answer. Nagulat lahat ng mga tao kasi I'm not usually the person who finishes first. I was always like one of the last to leave. But that was the first exam. I was like, 10 minutes. And then I rushed out. I didn't even get feedback. I didn't wait for the answers. I just ran to the auditions and then I auditioned. I even remember the first audition, the first song I sang was Rolling in the Deep. Because that was the only thing I remembered at that time. Because I had no time to prepare. Because it was like 2 days or something that I learned about it. Hindi pa alam ng parents ko. I had to hide it. At that time, I had a driver who was like very helpful. Who's like hid it from my parents. I had a very protective set of parents. But I was so sure I wanted to try. I had zero idea or clue as to whether I was good enough. And at that time, I never had training. I never did theater or anything related to that. So yeah, I got through yung round 1. I even got into the final stage of like, I had like the producers, there was the director there, everything, like there was a High Five logo at my back. And as you remember, they even used me in the
Commercial.
advertisement.
Yeah.
I was there in the commercials. They interviewed me. I think one of the interviews even came out somewhere. I don't even remember completely. Obviously, I didn't get in. Obviously, I also had problems with my parents because my parents were like, no, like, you're not gonna do this show. You're not gonna do even like the pre-show or whatever. You're not gonna do it. Kasi eventually, obviously, my parents learned about it. Kung ikaw nga nakita mo yung commercial, di ba? Eventually, hindi siya natuloy, but yun yung unang patikim of that experience. And as I said, even like this echoes my medical career, my doctor journey. There was a knowing feeling also when we were in medicine that I was enjoying med school. But when I was already like in clerkship or even like being with patient, I was feeling like there was something about it that wasn't clicking also. I loved the science of it. There's something about it na hindi completely nagme-make sense or nagki-click for me. Pero obviously, I wanted to finish. But obviously, like, also like, but yeah, that was one of the first parang, uy, sarap na na. Like, that was like a really... That was like, auditioning is never fun because of the pressure. But auditions can be fun when you think about it, that you're just being able to do what you love. And that was the first time na, because I had zero expectation. I was just doing it because I was so giddy and excited about the idea of jumping up and down for children and like showing like high five and singing songs for them. It was just like very a fun thing.
Yeah. So you trained as a doctor, became a doctor. And then
27.
became a surgeon in the
Well,
Philippines.
I went to residency, yes, for a very short bit. And then I decided that it wasn't for me. I will not go into the whole details of it, but it just really didn't click when I was there. And I had opportunities. I had friends who were already abroad who kind of showed me the way of getting through the UK process. Hence, I went to the UK. So I went to the UK to pursue being a doctor as well. This was 2019.
2019, yeah. And I was also asking you about it. And then, how do you say it? Tapos, when you went there, you also did surgery.
Yeah, so I was a clinical fellow, a senior clinical fellow in cardiothoracic surgery at Barts. So that was the first job I got. I did it for a full year. And then obviously, surprise, surprise of a lifetime, COVID happened. And I think that gave me the perfect redirection for my life. That was when I realized, wow, I don't miss surgery. I don't miss operating. I don't miss the pressure of that, whatever that was. Obviously, there were so many things happening during COVID. It was very difficult because we had to be doctors for something that we didn't really 100% understood. And I was going to work declaring people dead. There was like a full week wherein that was my responsibility. Like, I was gonna go to work to declare people dead. That's all I did. I didn't feel like I was saving people. It was hard. But what that meant also was we couldn't do surgeries. Everything that was elective was canceled. So cardiothoracic surgery, a lot of it is elective. And so we didn't really do anything. And then I switched to respiratory as well. And so I didn't miss it. And that was the first sign that I felt a relief that I wasn't operating. I was continuing it, as I said, because I was competitive. It was the image of it. Don't be a quitter. Don't quit. Sabihin sa'yo, quitter ka. And that was in my head. Parang, no. I don't want to be branded as a quitter. So, yun, tuloy pa rin. I still tried and I even reapplied and tried to be in surgery. Pero I was being redirected. Things always happen that eventually made sense. I guess papunta na rin naman tayo dun, so I'll start talking about it. I was very depressed during COVID. My grandmother was dying and eventually died. My brother got sick. There was a time in our Philippine politics wherein it was also quite tumultuous. It came to a point wherein there were talks about international healthcare workers, like Filipinos who were working abroad. If they go back to the Philippines even to visit, they couldn't just leave. And so there was so much fear. I don't know if it was really true, but there was fear to go home that I couldn't go back to my job. So I couldn't go home. And there's so many pressures at that time. So I was really depressed. I was so low at that time. And one day I was in clinic and then a post on Facebook, maybe because I kept on watching mga theater stuff. At that time, I was just like, serendipity. Now I know it's just algorithm. I saw like an audition for like Avenue Q. It's like a studio company of City Academy. It's kind of like trumpets in the Philippines, or like repertoire. Like it's like a school, and then they have shows and stuff. I saw that there was an audition and there was a process. I couldn't do that as a doctor and as a surgeon. I couldn't really do that because you have to go on auditions. As you know, we have on-calls, we have nights. So like I can't plan an audition day. Even if it was in my head, I will not have the opportunity to do that. But because it was COVID and everything was on videotape, on that same day, I called Jen, which is one of my closest friends here in the UK, who is also our classmate. Called her. I said, can I use your place? And can I just... Kasi may maganda siya white na wall. So, long story short, got in. And I did the show and it really clicked for me. I really enjoyed it. And then a lot of people approached me and spoke to me about it and was like, maybe you should consider this. Is this something you've thought about? And I was like, I never really thought about it because I just felt like I couldn't. There's a degree of negativity around it in general. But also like, diba, in the Philippines naman, like, my look, I'm not like the most like automatic
Heartthrob.
Gerald Anderson type. I will not be your automatic choice. And therefore, it was never an easy logic. Even if you just talk about it, you'll have some degree of negativity. So I learned na condition na siya in my head that I will not open that conversation. But then here, it was just out in the open. And people were like, are you considering it? And I was like, I never really did. I never really gave it a shot because I was just like, all I could see were like obstacles. In the Philippines, syempre, like I had to have parental consent. They needed to approve me going to all of these things. So, but then when I moved here, I could do what I wanted to do. So that's when I started exploring it as an option. Can I do this? Like, is this something that is even possible as a doctor? Like, after that show, that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna really try to do it. And so that's when I was told to try to apply to drama schools, and I started to like really take it seriously.
Let's go back to what you said earlier with your parents saying, "Oy, if you do something, finish what you start." How was the conversation like with your parents when you said, this is now what I want to do?
The thing is, I never really had a conversation. It was all like, no. Like, until now, if I'm being honest about it. But my parents are in their 70s. I cannot parent my parents anymore, I think. And I want to talk about this very delicately. I feel like parents do things out of love and out of things they understand and out of things that they grew up with and they have a full grasp of. My parents know parts of me but don't know the complete parts of me that they don't want to know about. So the part that wants to be an actor, the part that wants to go into this performing theater type does not compute to them. Because that's not something they were aware of maybe or were ready to deal with. And also like, we just don't talk about it. But obviously, as I said, I'm here, I'm in the UK, they live in the Philippines. And so they don't have really much control about what I get to do and not do. And that's a positive and negative about that. But also like, yeah, we don't talk about it because they still don't like what I'm doing, that I'm dividing my attention in pursuing acting, but also obviously keeping myself alive by being a doctor. Obviously, we have to make a living. And being a doctor is a stable career. Luckily, as a pathologist, as a pathology trainee, I'm in my 3rd year now. So it allowed me some flexibility. It's very difficult, but it allows me some flexibility to do auditions.
Let's talk about that. So you went to acting school.
I went to a part-time drama school in Mount View because, as I said, like, I had to balance it. I really wanted to do a full-time master's, but I don't have scholarships. Shout out to anyone who wants to give me a scholarship.
Hanap tayo.
Yeah, of course. Kidding aside, I got into schools. I got into like full-time master's degree programs, but I didn't have the money and I didn't have... Kasi not just tuition, you have to remember your rent, food, every day, diba? Parang, and I will lose my income because I'm doing it full-time. So I only went to a part-time drama school. It's at Mount View. And I was doing that at night. We had classes 3 times a week from 7 o'clock to around 10, like 9:30, something like that. But that was like the best time. Best time. That was the most fun I had in school. And na parang, oh, this is cool. It felt like play all the time, and the creativity around it was really infectious to me. Being around kindred spirits, like being around people who also wanted to do it, was really good.
And how did you balance that with pathology?
A lot of caffeine, a lot of passion, like really, because if you want to do something and you're really sure that you want to do it, reasons to not to do it should not matter. If you can find a little tiny hole, open it. Like, pero that's why the why has to be very important. Why am I doing this? Like, you need to have a real reason. And when I say real, it's different from person to person. Some people, money is a real important reason. Some people like glory or fame or whatever. And I'm not saying what is important or what is not. But only you can say what is real. And for me, that's a deep sense of satisfaction of a day-to-day fulfillment of, wow, I did something I enjoyed. Like, I just had fun. And obviously no career is just fun. But there was diversity and pursuit of something that I was like really excited about. And the nature of telling stories was something I just couldn't let go of. And yun, so parang to answer it specifically, it was very hard to balance it. But what made me balance it was because this is something that was so addictive to me that I need to have it. I just can't not have it in my life. The only way I could do that is to have a job. If I wanted to do it, the only way I could do it without anyone helping me is if I'm doing it for myself. If I'm paying my way. And the only way I also could do that is to have a 9-to-5 job, which was histopathology. I didn't have on-calls, I didn't have nights. And I was full-time there, so I wasn't breaking any legal thing. Because I was doing all my 9-to-5 job till I was in London. I was lucky that I got a London number. I got a London residency. It was perfectly placed south of London. My drama school was south of London. I was 15 minutes away from drama school. That was how lucky I was.
Kinda
The
aligned.
world also conspires for you to get things that are meant for you, I feel.
I agree. Super agree.
So that's why, in as much as I had a lot of heartbreaks, even now I have so much. But there's certain things talaga that will happen, that will click, because it was meant for it to happen. And yeah, that happened for me in it was so organic, parang ganon. So yeah, I had to make it work. That's why it happened. And that's why, and also like my classmates were supportive. The school was supportive. Find people in your corner. If there's 3 things I could say about that, like how it worked or why it worked, caffeine. Find something that helps you, like that you think helps you. Have a reason, a real why, like, and whatever that may be for you. What is, you define that. Only you can really say what that is. But it has to be something that will keep you up at night, or something that will really make you, push you on the difficult days. It's easy to show up on easy days. It is easy to show up when you're winning, but you have to show up when you're losing also. You have to show up when you can't memorize a line because you have to work. Like, you have to still show up. And then the last is find people who are aligned in pushing you forward. Because there will be people, unfortunately, who would want to pull you back. And so you need people pushing you.
Especially with the earlier days of your dream, when it's still so fragile. I always tell people, be careful who you share it to. Because if you share it to the wrong person, they might break it for you, and then mawawalan ka na ng gana to pursue it. So, keep your dreams super close to your heart. Share it to the people who you know are for you and who really also want you to grow. Yeah, I agree with that.
That struck a chord. Be precious with your dreams. Because there will be people, even those you trust, some of them may even be the reasons why you will double think yourself. That's why I said it's very important to find people in your corner. And that's why I was very lucky that in my drama school, I had a lot of like great classmates who were like Carl, you can't not do this. Like, are you serious? Like, yeah, maybe you're a good doctor, we don't know. But we know how you are as an actor. And that would make me like, wow, like, okay, some people see this. Like, I'm not delusional. Kasi nga, in the Philippines, that was the mindset, diba? The connotation will always be, it has to be this or that. But I didn't want to place myself on this or that because I was not this or that. And then I moved here, and people were like really supportive with me. I found people, and that's why find your main people. You will have a mentor. I have a mentor who's like been there. I watched him on stage lang, and I consider him as one of the people who are my main inspirations. I saw him, and then I approached him, and then he just became kind of like a friend and a mentor in a way. He's a Filipino-British. His name's James Cooney. It was just like the first time that somebody who I admired watching like replied to me. I just like sent him a message on Instagram, and just it became quite organic, and he was very nice. There are people who are supportive but still like is aware of the business and is aware of how heartbreaking it is and how harsh it can be. Still honest but still gentle about that this is your path, that this is what you want, and they'll be supportive. Realistic but supportive. And I had multiple people who eventually came into my life. That's why I wanted to share to people that it's so important to surround yourself with positivity, and not just positive energy, but positivity of the dream. Allies. Your allies in that dream. Because it's not easy. Nothing, whatever you want to do will not be an easy thing.
And that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah,
nothing worth it ever comes easy.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, I just want to say lang, just for clarification, I don't want anyone to think that I'm a big star, I'm a big actor. I'm still in my baby actor stage in a way, but I'm able to still pursue it because I have people who believe in me, and I believe in myself. And that's why I didn't really stop, because it would have been easier to just be a doctor and just do it on the side if I want to, and like not really actively pursue it. But I'm still actively pursuing it because it's what I wanted to do. And there are people around me who are supportive of that and like will help you and will help find a way for it to work.
And I had the privilege of watching you last year in London.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Thank you for going.
I know you. So parang when you went to theater, it was not a surprise to me, to be honest. Because I know you as really, as a performer. Parang kilala ko si Carl, performer talaga yan. So when you went into theater, hindi ako nagulat. But I think one thing that I noticed when I watched your show, there's some kind of light emanating from you now compared to when we were in medical school, when we would go on duty. That's still Carl, pero parang now that you're doing theater, and I was like watching you there, I was like, oh, it's a different kind of Carl, because I think yun nga, it's now aligned to your truth. Like, it's you now, you're really showing your true self to the world. This is really what you want. It was a long road to get you here.
It was a journey.
Yeah, pero if you look back in your life, andun na siya eh. It was sprinkled all over your whole life.
And as I was saying, like, even the choices I was making, it was always because I was finding something that was performative, that I could show myself and I could show my creativity. I could show my storytelling. I could tell stories to people. At the very least, I can say effective as an actor because I can easily access truths and I can easily access like circumstances because of also like things that I saw and experienced in life. As I said, like stories have been something that I like telling, and I like smart stories. Smart people like interest me a lot. Smart books interest me a lot. And being able to imbibe that as an actor is something I really enjoy.
So, what's next? Are there still things that you're still learning how to be?
Yes. I think going through life, you realize that obviously you have aspirations, and then you also realize that there's certain things that happen that you don't like, or like you don't think aligns to what you want to happen right now. So, ako personally, I still want to, my dream is to still be able to call acting my job. Like, I want to be able to, like, go to the West End, be a performer, have a good, decent living from being an actor. I don't like fame. Like, I don't want to be famous. That's not something I want. I want to be able to, like, earn a living from it. I still cannot do that right now, but that's something I want. And for me, what I'm starting to learn in at least the acting world, especially if you're trying to do it professionally, dealing with rejections, like, continuously, is something I need to work on. You get more rejections than yeses. And sometimes just being in the room, you have to learn how to be grateful already that you got to be seen. Kasi it's not easy to be seen. And I guess I could share it now already. There's a national tour of Miss Saigon, and I auditioned for it in an open call. Heard nothing. But that was common. And then heard something, got through, sent another one, got through, went to the director, got through, spoke to him, choreographer, etc., etc. Didn't book the job. I was down for like 2 months. And I realized, that's not healthy. Like, that's not healthy. So what's next for me is 2 main things. Find a way to do what I want. So if that means going to a drama school still and then booking a job. But I want to be able to do it, but also that when I do it safely for me. Because I know that I love it and I like doing it, but there's certain portions of it that are not fun, as I said. But I know that that's something that I'm happy to deal with, or at least happy to learn how to deal with. Because everything, there's negative things in anything you do. But in this situation, I'm happy to deal with that. Or at least I'm willing to. And so, yeah, that's what's next for me, I feel. Finding a way to do it more consistently, become a professional actor, still get to do pathology, hopefully finish it. Because as I said, my priority is really, I want to be an actor. That's what I want to do. We can talk about it outside, but I believe also that medical schools should have acting classes.
We had in Ateneo, we're at Ateneo School of Medicine, Public Health and Performing Arts.
Yes, but we never had proper acting training.
Right?
We were just expected to act. We were just expected to do shows. We were just expected to like perform. And I was, diba? Like kumakanta-kanta ka sa harap. Like I would sing and I would like do stuff for grades, for medicine. But we were never taught. And yung general, we were taught to memorize stuff and regurgitate it to people. Like, I'm sorry you're feeling that. Or like, mirror it. Like, di ba meron pa tayong lovers, like acronym. Lean forward. Voice of compassion. It's easy to give an acronym. But what is a voice of compassion? How do you do that?
Yeah, especially breaking bad news.
It really felt like we need to give grace to doctors. That they need to deal with 10 to 20 people, different levels of intensity and personality.
And
this,
intellect.
you're gonna say someone died. This, you're gonna say someone has cancer. This, you're gonna say, wala yan, that's not something you have to talk about. But you wanna leave because like someone is dying and you have to like go to the room to the next one and like... But people don't know that, and we cannot tell that to every single person. And so you just have to be present with them, but still be able to like show compassion, understanding. Even if like something's happening at your home, your girlfriend broke up with you, your mom is dying, so many things are happening to a doctor's life. And I think being able to be an actor and play a role when you come in a room, this is my goal. This is how I want to change the next person in front of me. What is my object? How should I say this? All I want to say is that I feel genuinely that doctors can benefit from a proper acting class. Like really. Like
I have
think...
to say it. I have to say it na. Remember when I was taking my PLAB 2 and I failed my first mock and I was crying? Yes. I remember I was on the tram to Eccles. I was in Manchester. Carl, I don't think I'm gonna make it. I think I'll fail. And then you gave the best advice to help me pass the exam. And you said, Jerica, ano ka ba? Acting lang yan. Di yan totoong pasyente. So, kung nag-acting sila, mag-acting ka lang din dun.
Yes.
They know you know already. You passed part 1. They know you're intelligent enough. All they have to see is your bedside manners.
Yes.
And that changed it for me. Now I understand. I don't have to study. just have to learn how to talk to people, how to talk to them in
People-
their setting.
Patients are the worst versions of themselves, and I say this very carefully. They are the worst versions of themselves because they're there scared, afraid of their lives, afraid of the possibilities of their lives, that it could change the instant you said they have cancer. And then you're making them wait for hours to see you. And then you'll tell them nothing.
Okay lang po yan. Wala lang po yung bukol na yan,
It's
ma'am.
okay. It's okay. There's nothing. And then they waited for 4 hours, waiting for you, thinking something Solomonic will be told. And then, but they don't realize that you just came from an arrest. You were like coming from someone bleeding out. It's hard because they don't also know there's asymmetry of information. All their latent anger, their latent racism, it can come out. That's why I cannot blame patients. I cannot also blame myself how I respond to it or I feel about it. But we all have bad parts of ourselves and we all have good parts of ourselves. And it's easy to be good in good times. It's easier to be bad in bad times. And being a patient is one of the bad times in your life. And so, as doctors, I think it is our responsibility to also be actors in that moment for them. But it's so hard because we don't have the tools. Like we weren't given the tools to deal with those things.
Because sometimes I feel it, I have to have a conversation with this patient kasi this is a
Yes.
cancer patient. I'm breaking bad news. Breaking bad news is not 5 minutes. Hindi, ma'am, may cancer po kayo. Okay, go by. It's not
Yes.
like that. May priming yun. That's also what I appreciated in Ateneo because we had that whole course of like breaking bad news. You have to prime it. You have to like, opo. So ano po, when you felt
Mirror
this,
what they think, ask what they think, and then, but I also believe that words are not enough because you can memorize it, but your patients do not believe you. And they're like, oh, he's just telling me memorized stuff.
Oh, tapos you're talking to someone with cancer, tapos tatawagan ka sa phone, tapos, doctor, your patient, yung kailangan lang ng sick leave, ganun. Parang, kailangan niya ng doctor's note, kailangan na niya. But this is an important conversation with someone. So, they don't understand all of that. Yeah, I'm so sorry, I've had a bad day, I can't attend to you. No. So, every day in my practice, I see 30 to 40. Yeah, I get that. You have to have that filter. Na parang kahit
Yes.
pagod ako, kahit anong nangyayari sa buhay ko, hindi siya pwedeng lumabas dito. Kasi I have to be
You
fully
need to have release. That's why I said a while ago, you're supposed to not be that person. Like, you're not. Like, but you have to empathize and you have to have a goal. Like, your character has a goal. We need to be able to go into that shoe and come out of that shoe. Come into that shoe and come out of that shoe. That's a very important thing that people forget about medicine. It's an art and a science, right? If you just want to be a scientist, go to
Research.
like biology, research.
Lab.
If you just want to be an artist, be an actor, which is what I want to do. I just, kidding aside, but I feel there's a marriage of that. I'm quite passionate about that, about acting and doctoring. I genuinely think it could help some people. And it could help people
improv class.
I think there are universities in the US that do improv
Okay.
classes for their med students. Because your patient will only really see you like once every 3 months, 4 months. But you get to see multiple versions of patients every single day. They will remember that one interaction. But that one interaction, you had 20 of that in one day. But they remember everything that happened because that 5 minutes, we were waiting for that. So you need to give the performance of your life in that 5 minutes.
Let's formalize Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health and Performing Arts.
Just my thought, like, people can disagree with it. Obviously, we want to be truthful. We want our doctors to be empathetic and we want our doctors to really feel for their patients. But you can't really do that all the time. But the job wants you to do that all the time and needs you to do that all the time.
It's
Kasi
exhausting.
it is exhausting.
Maubos ka talaga. Maubos ka. Having 30, 40 conversations in a day, mauubos ka.
Yeah.
Mauubos ka. To the point na when I get home, kasi di na nila ako nakakausap. Kasi ubos
Because
na ako.
it's-
Yeah, ubos na ako.
It's not easy. Being a doctor is not easy.
Ubus na ako. Really nice. Kasi yun nga, we know each other. We've been friends for so long. So parang ako, it really did not come as a surprise na you're doing acting there. You're doing the things that you love. Kasi I know you. Pero parang for people, I was like, I wanted to show people the pivot. Na you can pivot. When you feel that you're not aligned, just try to realign to your truth.
And the world tells this to you with multiple things. Magpaparinig siya eh. And then things kind of will align, but not all the time. And as I said, sometimes you will have prolonged obstacles. But once you really feel that you're doing the right thing for yourself, and again, I really want to repeat what I said about whatever is real, whatever is a good reason, whatever is a good life, all those definitions are different from person to person. And you have to respect that. And an important thing is you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself when you think you made a wrong decision. And don't dwell on that wrong decision. You're just like, that's okay. And then I move on.
That's what makes life colorful kasi. Kasi kung naging successful lang lahat, it's boring. Like,
yes.
okay. Pero those challenges, dun ka natututo. Dun mo na-realign. Okay, I need to do this, I need to develop this. And then it adds more layers to who you are as a person.
Yes, definitely.
Yes,
definitely.
yung layers.
And
so, where can people find...
Where can people find me?
Yes, find you or
Instagram. So I'm
follow
on-
your work. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, carl.reyes.ii. The second nga kasi ako. So like, you can find me there if you want to find me there. And yeah, I'm in London now. I'm based here. I'm third year nga in pathology, so I'm still pursuing that. But yeah, I perform whenever there's an opportunity, either like Amdram or any professional shows that I could audition for. I'm still doing the grind of auditioning. If I ever book another thing or I book a job, I'll tell you. Please tell your audience. If anyone wants to connect about pivots and like changing of careers and changing degrees, I'm happy to talk to them. And I'm happy to at least have a conversation with anyone if they want to ask or probe a little bit more on certain things. But I think we've touched a lot about listening to yourself and listening to the world. Listening to your young self, like what are the things you've been enjoying and what are the things that you've really wanted to do, and like there's a through line eh. Like even for me, I could see a through line of things connecting and it's just like making sense eventually. And as I said, like there are no wasted time. Like yeah, I could always say na, what if I auditioned at Juilliard when I was 18 and be an actor at Juilliard? Like, well, I don't know if at 18 I could get in. Will I get in? Like, will I get in now? Do I get in now? Like, so you don't know. So
or if
there's
you got
no
famous early, were you ready for that fame?
Yeah, so there's no need to relitigate it. It's easy though to say this because I also do this. That's why I'm saying it to your audience. Because sometimes you relitigate it too much. What if I just did this? What if I just did this? And the moments of peace I get is when I forgive myself. And when I say, that's okay. This is what I have now. And I have to be proud of what I have now. And proud of where I am now. And I am proud of where I am now. And
A lot of my coachees right now, because I'm doing executive coaching, I'm doing a lot of
Yes.
career coaching these days. So this is really a good episode for them to listen to.
oh, and also I just want to give a little shout out on coaching. When I was having a difficult time in my life as well, I was coached by someone because one of my friends said, "Oh, I have a friend here in London who's also training to be a coach." And so I had a coach who spoke to me as well when I was making this like actor decision, and she even just try one thing for yourself and do it, and I did it. And yun, so just a shout out on this, that this works. Like sometimes you really need to share it to someone and process it with somebody, because it's easy to just like think that you can process it on your own, but actually sometimes it's really helpful to just be guided, that someone's listening and giving you like questions and guiding you towards not what is the right decision, but guiding you towards how to make the decision best suited for you in the moment, I think.
Finding that insight. So this is very helpful, super perfect timing. Because right now, I'm coaching them through career changes or what they want to do in life. And your life story is a perfect example of you can always pivot and really find what you're passionate about. Because again, it's not gonna be easy, but if you're passionate about it, it makes the load lighter because you like
Yes.
it. When we recall your life, you had difficulties in medicine, you had difficulties in your career in medicine, but you questioned it, you questioned that path. Now you're having difficulties in your actual career. You're not questioning that path because you know this is where you are in alignment with.
Yes. And
Yes.
you keep on troubleshooting.
Yeah.
Like, you find ways to troubleshoot that problem. And I think that's constant. You will always have obstacles, but when you're so passionate about something, your brain goes troubleshoot mode. How? If you're not passionate about it, your brain will also go stop. But when your head and your heart is in it, you're just thinking of ways, and I think that's helpful. For me, it's like a day-to-day want for like satisfaction and feeling of being able to like, meron akong sense of like I wanna touch people's lives and be like a tool for their growth in a way that kaya ako rin, I wanted to be a lawyer, I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to politics or whatever, like that's. And then I realized that the alignment of all of that is really being an actor and being able to share my skills as a singer, as a performer, as an actor to change moods. That's what keeps me going as well.
Your story is about like it might take some time, but eventually you'll get there. Get to know yourself, and eventually you'll figure out, oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
And nothing is too late. I started drama school at 34. I was 34. Like, I was not young. And my classmates were 18. But I never felt out of place. The right time is your time. Whatever is your time, that's the right time.
Yeah, because when you're young, you really feel parang there's this pressure of, oh, I have to figure everything out. But the truth is, you don't have to figure everything out. Right? It's a process to know yourself and then get to know what you want to do. So thank you so much.
To echo that and say that
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity of
course.
sharing your like oh my gosh, you shared so much.
That was Carl Reyes. Maybe you're listening to this in a moment of doubt. Maybe you've been holding a quiet dream or wondering if it's okay to shift. Carl's story is proof that it's not too late, that you don't have to choose just one thing, and that there's courage in starting again, even when no one else understands it yet. If this conversation moved you, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Gerald, and you can find Carl at carl.reyes.ii. As always, thank you for listening. Be kind to yourself, hold your dreams close, and when the world gets loud, come back to your truth. This could be something.